So Nancy Pelosi, ladies and gentlemen. So you know what happened, right? The House reluctantly passed a $4.6 billion in emergency funds for the humanitarian crisis at the southern U.S. border on Thursday after a tense week of a long battle with the Senate over restrictions and proposals Democrats said would better the care of migrants, including children in detention centers. This is in the USA Today. So what happened was the House, which is now controlled by the Democrats, they passed a bill that would fund the border, but would have protections for the immigrants and the children, right? They sent that to the Senate. Mitch McConnell said, pound sand, here's our fucking bill, and it's gonna fund the military, and it's gonna screw the immigrants. And Nancy Pelosi said, well, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announced that she was caving Thursday. She caved. She fucking caved. And instead of pushing further for a bill in the House with added restrictions on the care for immigrants, instead, the Democrats would vote on a bipartisan measure that passed in the Senate on Wednesday in order to quickly get the resources to help support the influx of migrants, including families and children seeking asylum on the border. Nancy Pelosi said, the children come first. What the fuck? How could you do that and say that? What she is saying, it's... all right. Yes. That's the guy who's primarying her? Yes. We're going to have him on the show. Yeah. She fucking caved. She just caved. They said, even in the USA Today said she fucking caved. She caved. And you know the Democrats say that it's very important that you compromise in politics, and there's no better time for compromise than every fucking day for the rest of their goddamn life. That's what the Democrats do. So here she goes, in order to get the resources to the children fastest, we will reluctantly pass the Senate bill. As we pass the Senate bill, we will do so with a battle cry as to how we go forward to protect children in a way that truly honors their dignity. Their battle cry? My battle cry is, I caved yesterday to Trump, I'm caving today to Trump, and I will fucking cave tomorrow to Trump because I'm Nancy Pelosi and I serve the same fucking donors that he serves. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says, under no circumstances should the House vote for a McConnell-only bill with no negotiations with the Democrats. Hell no, she says. That's an abdication of power we should refuse to accept. They will keep hurting kids if we do. And she continued, she says, we have a majority in the House and we need to use it and negotiate. What's the point of having a majority if you just do what fucking Mitch McConnell wants to do anyway? What is the point of us voting in the last election to get the House Democrats to come back in power if you're just gonna do what fucking Mitch McConnell? There's no point to having Democrats control shit because they just do what the fucking oligarchs want them to do anyway. And this is proof.
Jimmy, I was at the Abolish ICE protest downtown Chicago today, which, man, I was very proud of my hometown. And one of the women speaking said, this is not the time for this sort of pragmatic incremental centrism. It's time for bold fucking action. And this fucking bullshit that she does, she caves and then says battle tested. It's all nonsense. It's a fucking coexist sticker on a Prius, and then the person flips you the fuck off in traffic. So sick of this. Any blue will do. We just need a blue in here. Who? Like these fucking blues that just sold us the fuck out? These goddamn blues? Fuck them.
The Democrats rolled over on DACA. They rolled over on this border bill. They rolled over on deregulating Wall Street. They rolled over on fast-tracking Trump's judges. They are fucking enabling Trump. And if you want to fight Trump, fight Nancy fucking Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. Contrary to popular belief, there is very little daylight between Trump and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. There is very little daylight. And that's why I'm wearing this fucking yellow vest. Ocasio-Cortez went on Twitter, like I showed you, and she called out Nancy Pelosi, and Nancy Pelosi said, all these people have their public whatever and their Twitter world, but they didn't have any following. They're 4 people, and that's how many votes they got. So Ocasio said, the public whatever is called public sentiment. And wielding the power to shift it is how we actually achieve meaningful change in this country. And then Ilhan Omar said, you know they're just salty about who is wielding the power to shift public sentiment these days, sister. Sorry, not sorry. That's right. They're upset people who actually represent people instead of donors are having a say in what the fuck happens. And that's what's pissing off Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and all the elites. And here she says, I find it strange when members act as though social media isn't important. They set millions of dollars on fire to run TV ads so people can see their message. I haven't dialed for dollars once this year and have more time to do my actual job, yet we'd rather campaign like it's 2008.
It's notable here. So Oman and AOC, these are 2 women of color in Congress. Are they having a Twitter battle with Paul Ryan or Mitch McConnell?
No.
No! They're having it with Nancy fucking Pelosi, who has that much fucking difference between Mitch McConnell. You can't see any light between my fucking fingers because there's that much no difference between them. This lesser of the 2 evil thing is the dumbest goddamn thing I've ever heard in my fucking life.
And what I think is funny is that Nancy Pelosi say they're like 4 people, they have 4 votes. Well, the actual vote was 305 to 102. 95 Democrats voted against that stupid fucking bill that had no protections for immigrants. 95. That's 40% of the Democratic caucus. And she's still, 4 people. And now you wonder why you lost to fucking Trump? Because you have no idea what's going on in your own goddamn country because you're a $100 millionaire that you made while you were in office. And you know who makes $1 million when they're in office? Fucking criminals.
Nancy Pelosi is the poster child for term limits.
Yes, yeah. So I just want to remind Nancy Pelosi that 3/4 of Americans support raising taxes on the rich. 3/4, 75% of Americans want to tax the rich. That's what America is. Also, 61% of fucking Republicans think that the gap between rich and poor is a very big problem or a moderate problem. Plus, in 2018, in the midterm elections, in Missouri and Arkansas, those voters voted to raise the minimum wage. And voters in Utah and Idaho and Nebraska voted to expand fucking Medicaid. That's where the country is, you dumb corporate motherfucker. That's not a fringe. And so the whole country feels this way, and our leaders, the opposition party, is in bed with the fucking opposition, not with us. They're in bed with the fucking establishment, and that's why you gotta put on a yellow vest and we gotta get in the fucking streets because ain't nothing gonna happen until we shut capitalism down. And now we go back to Dylan Ratigan doing a news report from a dentist office. And here's what he has to say about Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats.
The Democrats. The Democrats want you to believe that their party is, of course, wonderful and fabulous and wants to help to save the world and all the rest of this. And they want you to believe that the only problem with the American political system is the Republicans, and more importantly, the corruption of the American political system and the Republicans by the Russians. This, of course, would be the most horrible thing that could come from the current political situation. Because if we allow the Democratic Party to convince anybody, ridiculous they've even convinced themselves, that the primary issue with the American political process is Donald Trump and the Republicans, that validates their capacity to sustain themselves in a disgusting and corrupt fashion. The reality is, the only reason we have Donald Trump as our president and these horrendous Republicans is because of the unadulterated failure and corruption in the Democratic Party. Think about how bad, how unappealing, how offensive Barack Obama and ultimately Hillary Clinton had to be to the American population in order for them to even remotely begin to choose someone like Donald Trump as a better alternative. Think about how bad people have to view the level of corruption in the Democratic Party to think of Donald Trump as a remotely preferable alternative. Donald Trump is terrible. The Republicans are offensive beyond comprehension. But the solution is not the Democrats. The solution is a final terminal bypass of these two utterly corrupt political parties.
Hey, we just added St. Louis and Honolulu to our live tour schedule. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all the tickets for all our live shows. We might be coming to your town. Go check right now at jimmydorecomedy.com. And if you like the show and want to support it, become a premium member. You can become a patron or through PayPal, or go right to jimmydorecomedy.com and become a premium member. That's the best way. We'll see you at a live show.